I'd like to introduce you to the topic of autophagy and how it connects with hormones. So first of all, what is autophagy? It means self-eating. Think of it as a detox process your body undergoes to clean out damaged cells and regenerate new ones. A healthy body performs autophagy automatically. The question is what happens when autophagy is turned off or malfunctions? And how is the malfunctioning autophagy linked to degenerative health issues? Good news is that diet and lifestyle can help restore and maintain autophagy. So this is what we want to focus on. Now, it does have an effect on hormones. Hormones can affect autophagy as well. The chemistry here is not going to be discussed. A, it's complicated, and B, it's not really relevant to what we do in terms of having us understand this, because all we really need is to know what we can do, right? So focus should be more on how to support. Many aspects that support autophagy also support other aspects of hormone health, so it will tie into what we're currently doing. And autophagy is based on two protein kinases, AMP activated protein kinase, or AMPK, or the mammalian target of rapamycin, or mTOR. In order to understand autophagy, the AMPK switch has to stay on and the mTOR has to be turned off. So that's about basically all you really need to know about those two. Strategies should focus on proper regulation of these two kinases. So what are the benefits of autophagy? First of all, it reduces the rate of cell death. Before a cell dies, which is apoptosis, the cell can suffer from a lot of damage, such as chromosome, DNA, and plasma membrane bulges, things like that. Cells also leave a lot of damage when they die, leaving your body a mess to clean up. And autophagy can eat damaged cells and recycle them before apoptosis. So this is how they can prevent cell death, but in a healthy way. It also allows the cells to save energy for the creation of new cells. Now, in terms of heart health, cell recycling can clean out organelles and proteins that are old and damaged to lessen or even eliminate the development of cardiovascular disease. In terms of metabolism, autophagy keeps it working without disruptions by consuming any toxic mitochondria. It also repairs and replaces protein packages involved in energy production. It promotes the toxin removal from fat cells as well. And it uses fat for energy. In terms of cancer, animal studies indicate that autophagy may help cancer cells since it delays apoptosis. However, it may help prevent cancer by protecting DNA and reducing long-term inflammation. Both are linked to developing cancer. So I wouldn't worry about autophagy if you don't have cancer and you're in the prevention mode. But I do not, again, there's not a lot of information that says autophagy helps cancer cells, because cancer cells seem to operate differently in the body than other cells, and autophagy was designed for our regular cells. But just in case, it's worth noting here. In terms of brain health, cells in the brain can get built up with toxic proteins known as amyloid tau and amyloid beta. Autophagy can prevent this and may help lower the risk of Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, and Huntington's. Skin health, humidity, temperature changes, air pollution, and chemicals can build up can create a toxic buildup in the skin, and this makes us look older. Autophagy helps renew our skin cells. Digestive system function. It helps keep the intestinal wall lining healthy and functioning. So, we talk a lot about different issues with regard to the intestinal wall lining, and there has to be mechanisms that allow us to function properly. Muscle performance. Autophagy in muscle cell aids repair and prevents tears and damages, so muscles heal faster. It's been linked to a longer lifespan in animal studies. So again, we're always looking for ways that we can increase our lifespan or have a better quality of life. So this is why we want to know more about autophagy. Having fewer genes that trigger autophagy have a shorter lifespan in when the research they've done, even after they tried to boost it. Better immune function. Autophagy can activate the immune system and may consume viral and bacterial microbes within the cell. Now, in terms of hormones, autophagy is involved in the effects of estrogen and progesterone on various cellular aspects of reproductive organs. Estrogen can regulate autophagy in a restricted range. Normal estrogen promotes autophagy, but too much shuts it down. So again, when we're looking at estrogen dominant conditions, this is not necessarily about progesterone and estrogen ratio, but we are maybe concerned about people who are not successfully detoxing out estrogen or getting too much estrogen into their system, or in some cases producing too much. Progesterone is neuroprotective by also activating autophagy. Autophagy helps cholesterol into the cells for the benefit of testosterone production. It also helps with spermatogenesis. Cortisol, a little stress, turns on autophagy. Too much shuts it down. So very similar to the estrogen situation. Our problem with regard to autophagy is chronic stress, because that means they're going to be getting a lot of cortisol. Thyroid hormone increases autophagy in the liver and is essential for mitochondrial biogenesis in the skeletal muscles. And autophagy in the thyroid may be induced by TSH. So they're not quite sure about that, but that's what they have so far. Impaired autophagy increases insulin, something called an insulin autophagy. You have liver autophagy, you have insulin autophagy. So they name the specific area of the body as a certain type of autophagy. And so this may be increased in cases of obesity. It may be due to inflammation or too much oxidation, which can impair autophagy. High insulin can decrease autophagy, and this has been linked to cartilage degradation in diabetics. Now, whether that is also linked to in some way to others who have cartilage damage who have arthritis or something like that, not known yet. Liver autophagy is also decreased when there's too much insulin. Again, you're seeing the connections between the different systems again. Caffeine may increase AMPK dependent autophagy. So not all the autophagies are AMPK driven, but in the ones that are, caffeine may actually help. Too many calories and too many amino acids or too much insulin can switch on mTOR. So remember, we want mTOR off, AMPK on. Sauna therapy upregulates heat shock proteins. Heat shock proteins inhibit inflammatory pathways and protect cells from injury and disease. So this is something that you could possibly use for some clients. Immersing in a bath up to the waistline of 40 degrees Celsius water for 1 hour can also upregulate heat shock proteins. Cold exposure induces neuronal autophagy. So if you've heard about these, there's a movement of people who are taking really cold showers. This is what it's about, right? They're trying to, they may not even call it autophagy, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but this is what they're trying to do. Going back and forth between hot and cold water can stimulate autophagy, and there are many foods and supplements that can support autophagy, and many overlap with the areas of the body that we've been discussing for hormone health. So how do you promote autophagy? Intermittent fasting between 12 and 18 hours. So 12 hours is very doable, 14 is very doable. Some people struggle with 16 and 18. So this is something you'll work out with the client. There's no need to do 18, there's no need to do 16. So 14 is essentially, if you eat your last meal or your last bit of food at 8 o'clock in the evening, and you can then eat at 10 o'clock the following morning. And you can space that out the way you like. So if it's you last eat at 9, then you eat next at 11 in the morning. So that's 14 hours. Not hard to do at all. Now, 70% of the autophagy occurred within the first 24 hours of people doing this. So this is why you can do 12 to 18. You don't have to do some of the other intermittent fasting styles that have you fasting for 3 days or more. And some of them are, there's a lot to intermittent fasting. I don't really want to go into it here, but there's different styles. So the 12 to 14-hour fast is really valuable. So this will help turn on autophagy. Exercise depletes glycogen and raises AMPK, which then turns on autophagy. Proper sleep. Fragmented sleep can interrupt the 24-hour rhythm of autophagy. Now, there's all kinds of foods. Quercetin-rich foods, capers in the most concentrated source, red onions, shallots, red apples, grapes, berries, cherries, kale, tomatoes. If they've been organically grown, they have up to 79% more nutrients for autophagy than conventional. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, citrus fruits, and bell peppers. You also have nuts, specifically ones that have been studied, almonds and pistachios, asparagus, buckwheat, black tea, green tea, elderberry. The sulforaphanes found in the cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cabbage, and especially broccoli sprouts are high. Turmeric, which of course is a source of curcumin, but we're talking about food here, so we might be looking at the powdered turmeric in our diet, or even using the turmeric root, which is not fun to use because it turns your fingers yellow. Peanuts, pistachios, grapes, red and white wine, blueberries, cranberries, cocoa, I think I'm repeating myself, scallions, black pepper, olive oil, reishi mushrooms can induce autophagy, honey, schizandra. Many foods, as you can see, that can be used in the diet protocol to support autophagy. So all you have to do is get people to look at this and pick some that are also going to be useful for other things they want to accomplish based on what we've talked about in this program. Now, in terms of supplements, proteolytic enzymes. The initial steps of autophagy require proteolytic enzymes. So one way you may help stimulate autophagy is to have them take proteolytic enzymes. So WOB enzyme is the name of a product that would be considered a proteolytic enzyme. I think Enzymedica also makes some as well. And when you read the label, you'll see they're all either proteolytic enzymes from the stomach or from the intestines. Nicotinamide, this is the active form of vitamin B3, omega-3 fatty acids, green tea, so you can get green tea as a supplement, and it's the polyphenol catechins in particular that are of value for autophagy. And of course, resveratrol, which is in red wine, it's also in grapes and things like that. It comes as a supplement as well. So depending on what people want to do, you can easily get these things into them. The same with quercetin. Quercetin is also easily found as a supplement. So Yoshinori Osumi won the 2016 Nobel Prize in Physiology for his discoveries of the mechanisms of autophagy. So that's relatively new, and we're going to learn more as time goes on. But in the meantime, it's important to know about this concept, to understand that we have more protective systems in our body that may or may not be working. A lot of the reasons for autophagy not being doing what it's supposed to do are connected to many of the other reasons. We don't have good gut health, or we don't have good hormone health. We have to look at diet, we have to look at lifestyle, we have to look at sleep, we have to look at exercise. So these things connect. But I don't know about you, but knowing there's a process that's helping me that I didn't know about actually gives me comfort. So I really wanted to include this, especially since it is connected to hormones and the hormones that we're talking about. So I hope you take some of this into consideration. And fortunately, since the foods and supplements can overlap with other things you're doing, it shouldn't be too hard for you to figure out a reasonable protocol for someone. And this might be something they like to look at and consider because there's so many foods that can help.